Hello there, my name is Daniel, the founder of Galactic Games, and today we are looking at the topic of screen resolution, specifically how to properly set up the resolution for your game. This tutorial builds directly on our previous videos where we created the menu and the game settings. In those previous lessons, we created a simple resolution change using the console command r.setres. But today we need to show why this path carries certain problems and how to do it cleanly and optimally for a finished game. The r.setres command we used last time works fine in the editor, but in the standalone version or in the final build it can cause problems, especially with compatibility and the correct setup of screen modes like full screen or windowed. The optimal way to change the resolution is by using the Get Game User Settings node. This node contains all the player settings. Through this node, you can correctly set up the resolution and graphics without the need to use any console commands. The using commands is obviously not wrong, it works too. But this is the modern way to solve things correctly. As the first step for the correct setup, we will use Get Game User Settings. From that we drag out the Set Screen Resolution node, which serves to set the window size. On the purple resolution pin, we right-click and use Split Struct Pin, so we get the independent values Resolution X and Resolution Y. These values determine the window size on the X-axis and the Y-axis. Next, we use the Set Full Screen Mode node. We connect the target pin back to Get Game User Settings because it is a function from this class. This node changes how the full screen is displayed, so we can choose full screen, windowed full screen or windowed. Windowed full screen is basically a special version of full screen that works exactly like a window, but it does not have those classic system bars around it, so it visually looks like full screen, but the player can smoothly jump into other windows. Next, we use the Apply Settings node. You could also use Apply Resolution Settings, which makes some sense from an optimization standpoint if you were changing a massive amount of things at once. With a smaller setup, however, you will not notice this on performance at all, so Apply Settings will reliably cover all the changes we just made at the same time. The big advantage of this node is that it automatically integrates the saving process to the disk. This means that as soon as the execution runs through it, the new resolution setup is immediately written into the internal configuration file of the engine without the need to use any additional saving or loading nodes. Now, we will incorporate all of this into our game. We will use our save game class, where we store the settings change data from the previous video. From that, we drag out the resolution variable, which stores the window combinations. We have 3 basic variants set up in our project, but you can have as many as you want. We use a get node and an index, which will find the correct value we have set using that index. Because we display that text in the menu as 1920 x 1080, we must convert the string into separate numbers. We use the split string node and let the text split exactly where the character letter X is located. This gives us the left side with the number for width and the right side with the number for height. We convert these string outputs into integers and plug them directly into set screen resolution. Right below that, we connect the setup for Set Full Screen Mode. This ensures that we set the resolution in the upper part and the full screen mode in the lower part. When you launch the game, this whole setup will already work correctly. When testing in the editor, however, it is necessary to differentiate between the window size and the resolution of the image itself, because those are 2 different things. If you test the system in standalone game mode, the window might flash for a fraction of a second during the resolution change, get bigger, and then immediately return to its original state. This is because the editor forces its default window size for the standalone mode in its settings, and it simply overrides your code. It is not that important for testing though, because it will work correctly in the final build. To see the 100% correct behavior, we must test the game in the final packaged build, meaning the package game. By the way, I made a separate video on how to properly package a game, so you can check it out via the card on the screen. In conclusion, make sure you have the anchor set correctly for all your widgets in the menu. If you do not have the buttons properly anchored to the corners or to the center of the screen, your UI will drift away outside the visible area of the screen during a resolution change, regardless of how well you have written the blueprint code itself. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and thank you all for supporting Galactic Games.